Minimalists.
I don't remember. I was doing some prep for this episode. I don't know if this was in your book or I was just reading it somewhere else. The Diderot effect. Are you familiar with the Diderot effect?
I'm not.
Okay, so I got the definition here. Obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption which leads you to acquire more new things. A different philosopher named, I forget his first name, but Diderot was his name. So basically when we buy something, I think of the example, like if you buy a really nice piece of furniture but you have a bunch of crappy furniture at home, now all of a sudden you're like, oh, now all this other stupid furniture. In fact, I see this right now. So the Diderot effect, when we're in this temporary studio space, which thank God we're going to be out of soon. But as soon as we've started building out our new space, it makes me even want to be out of this space even more because the new space is beautiful. We're working with a set designer. And now every time I see one of our YouTube videos that are filmed in here, I'm like, yeah, that was fine for a period of time, but like it's not like the new space, right? And so as a result, we end up buying things that our previous selves never needed to feel happy or fulfilled. So that's the Diderot effect, where we consume one thing, but it's almost like, well, what is a good metaphor for this? Like if you just get like, if you drink something that makes you thirstier in a way, something that's right, like a diuretic, now all of a sudden you need to drink more and more. And consumerism is obviously an unquenchable thirst, but the Diderot effect shows that quite often it can turn into this domino effect. That first purchase, as innocuous or anodyne as it might seem at the time, leads us to desiring a whole bunch of other things. Do you know anything about what might be behind that phenomenon?
Well, I'm hearing this for the first time, but the first thing that it makes me think of is the reflexivity of desire and kind of the reflexivity of reality itself. What do I mean by reflexiveness? Just that the act of like moving to some new reality, like, you know, you drink the soda or the diuretic or the caffeine or whatever. After you've done that, you're not in the position that you were in before, and the new reality is different. So you have to evaluate it by completely different standards.
Yes.
So it's almost as if, so the reflexivity of desires is like if we're all on the same trampoline and, you know, one person jumps or one person moves.
Right.
There's just no way that it's not going to affect us in some way. Right. So this is true of physics, but it's also true to our desires, right? Like it's constantly, we're not neutral observers to these things, right? We're like caught up in it, and we're affected in real time. So we can't stand back and make calculations about what we think will make us happy, because the next day when we wake up, reality is different, and it's so easy to forget about that.
Yeah.
The Diderot effect, for me, it kind of puts an accent on the saying, comparison is the killer of joy. Because that's really what's happening, right?
Right.
You buy a new thing, and now you're comparing it to everything else.
Right.
And that's really that's what this whole conversation about mimetic desire is. It's about these comparisons that we're constantly doing.
Yeah. In our last film, Less Is Now on Netflix, they talk about, or Annie, she talked about the vertical expansion of our reference group, which is a fancy way of talking about keeping up with the Joneses, basically, right? So this comparison being the thief of joy. All of a sudden, your neighbor gets the new Mustang, or we're in LA, the new Lamborghini, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't know I needed a Lamborghini, but now I need the Lamborghini. Even though I know intellectually I don't, but there's something in me that feels as though I do. And so in a way, now though, that we're comparing ourselves to everyone we've never met. It's on our Instagram feeds, it's on television, it's on the billboards, it's on the 4,000 to 10,000 ads we see every day. We're comparing ourselves and our desires, the mimetic desires are created by our culture. And the Diderot effect is simply saying, well, be careful about what you bring into your life, because it might make you want to bring other things into your life
It'll make you start comparing other things that you didn't compare before. You know, you use the Lamborghini example, but I think it's even worse when it's something that we actually can afford. Like I look at
Yes.
I'm not on Facebook anymore. You know how someone quit Facebook?
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
But I remember a certain old friend of ours, a professional wrestler. Him and his wife got a Hellcat, which is like it's a very fast, I think Dodge is what it is. And yeah, long story short, I'm not even into sports cars, but because I look up to that old friend so much, and his wife, like they got a great relationship, they got a kid. I mean, I in a lot of ways envy their life, and they get the Hellcat, and now I'm like, well, that's within reach. Do I need to get a Hellcat? Like I might be able to afford a Hellcat payment. So it's interesting, like when we see those things, and I think that's why social media is so dangerous, because there are so many solutions on there that are within our 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe $100 reach. It's not like a Lamborghini. It's a lot easier to obtain.
And we see it everywhere. Like we see it in the feed. We see it when you hop on Instagram. All of a sudden, there are so many things it makes it accessible. But just because something is accessible doesn't mean it's going to improve your life.
Well, the things that are more accessible are, frankly, more dangerous, and I think lead to more of the Diderot effect. So think about it like this. Like if you ask most people, like who are you more jealous of, or who are you paying more attention to in terms of what they get and what they want? Jeff Bezos, or like the person that lives next door that works in a similar industry that just happened to get a new car? It's going to be the second person, right? Because like proximity matters and accessibility matters. And those are more powerful models to us than the kind that are kind of outside of our world that seem to exist in a different sphere. Sometimes these can be our friends, as you said, Ryan. I mean, the closer that people are to us, the more similar they are to us, the more kind of powerful hold they have over us, and the more we care about what they want.
Did you enjoy this video? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists today. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.